So LeBron and the Lakers beat Memphis, but it was beyond that. LeBron had 35 points. He's in year 22. He's shooting 46% from three-point land, best of his career. A third straight triple-double. So Michael Jordan was more like Seinfeld. 9 great years, highly impactful, still discussed today. LeBron's become Law and Order. We're on year 35. I watched an episode 2 days ago. It still crushes. I know Michael played 15 seasons, and many of them were great, but he was a shell of himself at the end. LeBron's in year 22. On any possession, best player on the floor. In any game, AD got into foul trouble. They're like, LeBron, take it over. Best player on the floor. He's not as good as Jokic. On Giannis's best night, he's not as good as Giannis. He really doesn't have the dexterity anymore of Wemby. Wemby's just insane. And Ant Edwards is much more dynamic athletically on a consistent basis. But LeBron's IQ, his leadership, his ability to pick up things during the course of a game, and it's always been this Michael Jordan, LeBron thing. LeBron's easily got the best resume in the history of basketball. Michael was red hot for about 8 to 9 years. Red hot. He was the coolest player. He was the best looking. He was the best dressed. I'm not denying that. For a 9-year stretch, there's nothing like him. Love him. I watched Air again 3 nights ago. I watched the movie about Michael Jordan. He's still relevant today. His shoes, I think, still outsell LeBron's. I'm not, but you can't give me this Michael was 6 for 6. If you want to do titles, Russell had 11. There's Robert Ory's got more. There's got to be layers and contextualization. I've argued forever, if the Chicago Bulls were in the Western Conference like the Chicago Blackhawks are in hockey, it's right on the line. He would have lost multiple finals because he couldn't beat Bird and the Celtics or Isaiah and the Pistons for years, so he never got to finals. Stop punishing LeBron for being more successful. He got the 10 finals. MJ to 6. Magic got to 9. MJ to 6. Stop punishing people for being more successful. Don't be so ring-obsessed. Contextualize stuff. What LeBron's doing doesn't make sense. I mean, again, Messi on any possession in soccer, that's the best thing. That's the best player in the world. Tom Brady at the very end, only like Mahomes was better, absolutely. I still would have taken Brady over Lamar, Josh Allen on a drive with a minute to go in a game. I would have taken Mahomes over Brady, but I would have taken Brady over everybody else, not named Patrick Mahomes. And last night you're watching LeBron, 35 points, triple-double, third straight game. I mean, it's just crazy to me. And his intelligence is huge because, last night, end of the game, big possessions. We're looking at now 18 dominant seasons for LeBron James, 18 to 20. Michael had 9. I mean, really, really dominated the league seasons, 9 to 10. Like, it's just, you're getting to a point where it's like Brady's stats post 40. That's part of the story. Brady's career post 40 is better than 95% of the players who've ever played. LeBron's career post 34 is better than not only some all-stars, but 95% of the players that have ever played. Down the stretch, J.J. Redick, and J.J.'s a smart guy, he has clearly discovered that Anthony Davis is the best player on a consistent basis. But LeBron, he'll listen to him. This sounds like a criticism. Has your wife ever told you the best version of you is the getting out of the way you? I mean, I've never heard that personally, but I've heard that before. The best version of you is sort of getting out of the way you. That's what Nick Sirianni's become. So the Eagles play tonight, and they play Washington. I like Philadelphia tonight. Home team, veteran quarterback at home, better roster, short rest. I think it's a tough ask for a rookie quarterback to go and play in one of the loudest stadiums in the country against arguably the best roster. I like Philadelphia tonight to pull away second half. But it's interesting, if you go to the first 5 games this year, Philadelphia's offense, and Sirianni's an offensive coach, and the last 5 games, they average almost 11 points more a game. It's a totally different team. Totally different team. Why? Because remember in the offseason you were hearing about Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, and there was all this. And you always heard that about Shane Steichen and Nick Sirianni. Are they getting along? When Nick Sirianni got out of Shane Steichen's way and let him call the offense, they went to a Super Bowl. And you've been hearing about this. The Kellen Moore, Nick Sirianni, at the beginning of this season, there was a lot of, I don't know if it's going to work. Kellen Moore beginning. Remember when he got hired, it was like, I don't know, is he going to have the offense or Sirianni? And at the beginning of this season, it was Sirianni meddling too much. Now he stepped out of the way, just like he did with Steichen in the last month, and look at the offense. It's great. Kyle Shanahan and Andy Reid and Sean Payton, they play design, they play call. It's their specialty. They're on the headset. That's their specialty. But there are a lot of great coaches in this league. Dan Campbell, Mike Tomlin, Pete Carroll was a Jimmy Johnson was known more as a walk-around coach. That's a term that's used, walk-around guy. You set the tone, you set the temperature of the team. But you hire Josh McDaniels. Belichick did that on offense. And I was talking to Josh McDaniels after the show yesterday. He said, Bill, once a game is like, hey, what do you think here? Or what do you want to call here? He said, but Bill understood. Like, that's my expertise. Tom and Josh McDaniels, you got to get into a flow. There's a certain tempo to offense, and it's really tough, even with an offensive coach. Either you're all in or you're a walk-around guy. You can't go halfway. You can't go halfway. And beginning of this year, Kellen Moore and Serriani, Nick was dabbling too much, just like he did with Nick Serriani early on. And when he finally said, Nick, it's your offense. And this year, when he said, Kellen, it's your offense. And by the way, this is not a criticism. Dan Campbell is a walk-around guy. Mike Tomlin, walk-around guy. Pete Carroll, walk-around guy. Some guys are specialists. Like Sean Payton is going to design, call, orchestrate the offense. That's Kyle Shanahan. That's fine. But the criticism of Kyle Shanahan has been, maybe you should walk around more and take a look at your special teams. They're always awful. And with Dan Campbell, he wants to set the tone and temperature. He wants to touch all the parts, but he don't want to meddle. I mean, I was just talking to somebody about Jim Harbaugh. I said, Jim Harbaugh, it's a true story about Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh will go into meetings, and he wants his assistant coaches and coordinators to figure out the jigsaw puzzle. He'll walk into a coaching meeting. He'll watch a play. Let's say a screenplay is getting blown up here, and he'll turn to his coordinators. I've heard this about Jim for years, and he'll go, whew. Boy, you guys have a rough one on your hands this week. That defense blows up screenplays. Jim gets up and walks out. He identifies the issue. Boy, you guys got your hands full this week. Gets up, walks out. Your job to figure it out. So it's not a criticism. Harbaugh tends to be more walk-around guy. There's video all over the internet of him walking around and getting guys pumped. Tone, temperature. And so I think that's the thing I struggle with Sirianni, is that he's had these, you got to give him credit. He's got the self-awareness to know. Sirianni, I pulled away. We got great. And I think early in the season, he went back because, Kellen, he's gone through all these coordinators, right? And you're a head coach, and you want to if I hire somebody on this show on the staff, you want to babysit, you want a helicopter, and all of a sudden after 5 weeks, I think Nick Sirianni went, I'm doing the same thing to Kellen Moore, that I did to Shane Steichen. And so he had the self-awareness to go, I'm going to back off, and I'm going to put my arms around the whole thing. And I think I think that's what he is. It's not a criticism. Mike Tomlin's made a career. Pete Carroll, Dan Campbell, Jim Harbaugh. Not in on all the play. Belichick's not telling Josh McDaniels what to do. So I think what you're hearing now is the Sirianni, Kellen Moore. So we've seen two different versions of the Eagles offense with Jalen Hurts. Underachieving and turnover prone, or great. There's like no middle class with it. It's like, that's a mess. That won't work. Oh, that's unbelievable. Right now, Jalen Hurts is unbelievable. And I think sometimes husbands have heard this. The best you is stay out of the way you, and that's okay.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.